What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Attacking Third. Hey, friends, joined by LoBonta, Kansas City current forward, U.S. Women's National Team member, and U.S. Women's National Team alum, and NWSL legend McCall Zerboni. I'm your host, Dee Jenkins. Welcome in, friends. Whether you're listening as a pod or watching on YouTube, jump on the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. Before we get started, Lo Mama. Glam, head to tea. You look gorge. I know you didn't get dressed up for Mia McCall. We're used to game day hair. What's going on?
You guys were just looking good every week. They told me this was a podcast. Y'all have been posting videos, so I had to get glammed up. No. I have a photo shoot right after this. If we're one of the magazines, we're highlighting Kansas City being a host city for the World Cup. We're highlighting obviously the current because we've been having a great season and we've been doing big things. And then my Fidel company as well. So, had to get glammed up, but it was perfect timing for this. And so I hope you guys post all the videos today, actually.
We will. Producer Mark, get a close up on Lo. Just get Lo single for the show and you can just have our voices in the back. No, you look great. I love it. Full glam. McCall. Oh, there it is. Come on, girl.
and I was also watering all my plants today, so that one's still in the sink. Oh my god,
it looks good.
Thank you.
We just need Amigo.
We're not looking at the plants, babe. You look amazing.
I'm like, you guys looking over there? You looking over there?
I love it. Look good, feel good. McCall, how are you going? How are things? You're not in your normal location.
I'm not. I'm locationing with my family right now. So,
yeah. Love your bonies.
Yeah, my big family keeping me like a part-time job over here.
I love it. Well, I'm in my normal spot. It's hot. Yeah. Anyways, guys, big news today. Albertin Montoya and Bay FC made the joint announcement. You may have missed it just about an hour ago that he is going to be stepping away from Bay FC at the end of the season. He will no longer be coaching Bay in 2026. And the team put out a statement saying that they're mutually parting ways. Albertin shared how grateful he is for this opportunity and the love he has for this team. But a real big change up from what we're used to with what we've seen in the NWSL. I mean, we're used to coaching turnover, a lot of changes early, mid, late season. Now we're very familiar, but we haven't seen a coach that's going to stick around for the remainder of the season, knowing that there's an impending leave that's going to happen and they're going to have to switch over. So Lo, I want to start with you since you're currently still playing. From a player's perspective, what do you think this is like? I mean, you just played Bay FC. You probably got a little bit of a vibe check of what it was like before this announcement. I mean, give us the intel from the player's POV.
Yeah, I can only speak from experience, right? And I'm not speaking for anyone at Bay. I just need to make that clear, specifically my own opinions and experience. But this has happened to us almost every single year with the current, right? Vlatko is now our longest tenured coach. Our first year, he got fired at the end of the year, so we had finished the season. Second year, we get a new coach, literally like a couple weeks before season started. We made it to the final of the year. The following year, he gets fired after the third game. So then our assistant coach coached us the remainder of the year, but it's still different than this situation because we didn't know if she was coming back or not. We didn't know if she was going to get offered again. So she was still trying to figure it out. And then obviously Vlatko comes in, still there. But it's just it's hard as a player, right? Because you want to have some control of your future, and you really don't when it comes to professional sports. Unless you see that contract is guaranteed, yes, you can bank on the money, but you can't bank if you're going to play, if this new coach likes you, if your current coach wants to try something new because he doesn't know his future, so he wants to just throw whatever and see what sticks. So it is very difficult mentally to be a player in this situation. So I hope for Bay they have some clarity, yes, that he's going to be stepping down, but at least they have that consistency with they know what trainings are going to be like. They are still the same team, they're going to keep fighting and play for each other because at the end of the day, your locker room is going to be what's going to be there for you at the end of the day. So I hope they stick together through this. It's absolutely difficult, but you never want to see this because, again, I'm here for the players, and I hope they come out of this on top and it's positive, and hopefully they get I don't want the search for the head coach to be quick. You never want that. You never want a quick hire. You want the organization, to put some thought into it. So I hope it's a good process, but I hope the players get some answers soon.
McCall, I know you can talk to that too. I mean, you're one of the most tenured players in the played in the league, and I know you experienced a lot of coach turnover and just what that adjustment is like. So can you speak to your experience as well of how to overcome that?
Yeah, specifically, Gotham 2021-22 was really difficult. We had 4 different coaches in a span of like 14 months. And it's just really difficult to find your footing as a player, right? Because it's a revolving door. Like, your coach is your first leader. So if that's always changing the style of play, the way they put together sessions, like your training and your practice, like all of that is like, if you can't find your footing as a player because all of those things are constantly changing and rotating, it's really difficult to find success, and usually it hinders your success. But for me, with Albertin specifically, I'm looking at it from a media perspective now. Like, why wouldn't they just wait till the end of the season to announce it? Why do they feel in a rush to announce it? Like, if they already agreed, whether it's mutual or not, that he's going to be gone at the end of the season, and he already agreed that he's going to finish out the season, why didn't you announce it at the end of the season? So that, to me, says that they felt like they need to give answers to the fans or show that they are doing something positive for the club to turn around and like, hang on, we have ideas. Don't give up on us.
No, that's such a good point, McCall, that I hadn't considered. Just trying to almost smooth things over, give a little bit of bridge time, know that we're probably in the coaching hunt right now. We're not waiting till last minute when everyone else is going to be swept up. So I like that shout. And I hope on both parties, that from the player standpoint, from the club, from the coach, everything is mutual and that everything works out for the best. Okay, well, now that bomb was dropped early on in the show, unexpectedly today, let's get to our actual show. We're going to be talking with Lo about her Mount Rushmore of players, and we're going to be talking about the comeback kids, Chicago and Utah, because like we were talking about with Bay, those transitions, those difficult seasons, both these teams are coming out on top in this latter half. So let's get into this last weekend specifically, because Chicago and Utah are just surprising us week in, week out, and I am here for it. Chicago coming off of a massive win against Orlando. If you took your eyes off the screen in the second half, you probably missed one of the 7 goals that happened. It was absolute insanity. But McCall, I want to ask you, how much has this team grown since the beginning of the season? We know they've had a lot of coaching change, a lot of turnover.
Coaching turnover.
Yeah, right? A lot of turnover. This team has just been thriving since the summer break in the midst of a coaching change between Ella Masser and their going to be assistant, now interim head coach, Anders.
I have a specific example that I think is really helpful, because Ella Masser, Ludmila, she seemed hot and cold at the beginning of the season. She seemed kind of sometimes about it, sometimes not. But since Ella Masser, someone that she respects, that was a previous player, that she knows she can't walk all over, now Ludmila is like, I want to play for you. I want to do the thing for you. I feel comfortable. You're giving me the freedom to be myself. And players like that are coming alive because they want to play for Ella Masser. And now they've embodied this whole like F it mentality. Let's just be the destroyers, the wreckers, the like crushing dreams. And so now they have a unifying story to latch on to and to perform, and they're all leaning into it. You can tell that they're playing with so much like freedom and energy to go out there and just disrupt. Like, everyone has come alive, but a big part of it for me is Ella Masser meeting players at an eye level, because she's a previous player and she knows what it's like, and she's getting the best out of everybody.
Also, guys, Chicago are planning goal celebrations. Mark, can we put that up? Chicago Stars are planning goal celebrations. Who would have thunk?
You guys, when I was watching them do this, I was so hyped. But that's like the mentality, right? If you're celebrating something, you're proud. You're proud of this moment. They were putting on goals after goal against Orlando. And this young player, I think there was even, I don't know who scored, but she even almost like stood over Morehouse at one point, and then went in for her goal, went and did a celly. And I was like, that's what you need. That's the chip on the shoulder that people are talking about. To be fair, Orlando was doing this to teams last year too. So they had the same mentality. And the difference is they were just dominating, whereas this team now is the disruptors. And I think my one note for them after this was the most entertaining team in the league right now. Like, I truly believe that. Like, they need to be on prime time every weekend because it starts with Ludmila and goes down. You had 5 different goal scorers this past weekend, and every single one, my jaw was on the ground. Like, even Ludmila's assist when she was looking the other way and chipped it back post. And then Franklin on her first goal of the season scores like that against Orlando, that at your new home field, right? They're not going to finish out the season here, but they'll be there next season. Everything was just written for them this weekend, and they grasped it. And I was on my flight, and I told our producer, I was like, I'm going to get kicked off because I was shouting at every single one. I was like, this is why I can't do color commentary. I can't hold in my noises. Like, it was so entertaining. I loved it.
I was watching Chicago this past weekend, and I was like, I just found myself like morphing into like the shoes of the players. And I was like, they're having so much fun at training right now. Like, you know, when you have that, like, dude, we're just flowing and flying. And they're like, I know they're laughing at training. They're competitive at training. They're just loving what they're doing right now. And now all of a sudden they're showing up to work with a smile on their face and they're enjoying their football. That's the best thing that you can set up for a player. If they're enjoying their football, they're going to perform.
Well, I was going to ask, do you guys think that that's the secret sauce that's been missing? I mean, this team has not changed that much. I mean, but you do have players getting. Ludmila got her first assist of the season. That to me is crazy, but she's in the golden boot race. She was number 3 before this, still number 3 with 10. But what is it? It's just that they're enjoying it? Is it just some sort of like outlook on the future that's giving them hope? I mean, is that what you guys feel? Or like, Lo, even from your perspective, do you feel like that changes things when you're like, oh, we have something to look forward to. Look at this new stadium. Look at this coach coming in.
I think I can speak to the experience of Ella, right? She was our assistant coach here, and you wanted to do film with her. You wanted her input. When she ran a drill, you were listening, and not saying we weren't anybody else, but sometimes when a coach steps in, has that experience and authority, you tend to lock in more. And, you know, when she first came in with the Chicago staff, she wasn't the leader. She was still kind of the supporter. So I think as soon as she was the interim head coach, she just took the reins and she was like, all right, you guys already know me. Let's go for it. And you could see the passion she had in her press conferences, the one that continued to get her fined. But that's another show we can talk about. But when you lead like that, it's so easy for your players to follow, right? You have a listener in there too. You have Ludmila at the front, Nair at the back, and the people all in and around them just fell into line. And it's inspiring. And I look at the schedule and I'm like, where is Chicago? Who are they playing? I want to watch that game because it's so cool as a player to see a team struggle and then continue to put on performance after performance. It feels so good for the game.
It feels so good. And I was on Morning Footy today and I was like, who would have thought that Chicago was going to be the team that we circle every weekend? And I need to watch what the hell they're about to whip out of a bag this weekend because they're going to score. The other team's probably also going to score. That needs to be changed, but it is going to be drama and I'm so here for it. But I want to ask, do you guys think that with this momentum they have, the team they have right now, more of a runway next season with an actual coach in place, could they be contending for a good playoff push next year?
I think they have. Yeah. I mean, I think they have a solid roster already, but if they can poach 1 or 2 more players this offseason, just for depth or even increase in the starting 11's positions. But like Chicago right now is the Cinderella team that makes us love sports, that gives us hope and inspiration and to never give up. And you can always rewrite your story and nothing is truly over until you decide it is. Like, to show that the team has that inside of them, the character inside of them, is just only the beginning, especially if they can add a couple more key pieces to their roster. And this stuff matters. Like, placement on the table matters. How you finish matters, because when people go to look at that table at the end of the season and you're trying to recruit players, and you want to look like a desirable club, right? You want to keep your current players, so make them happy, finish on a good note, but you also want to draw and attract other players around the world. And if you're last or second to last, not super cute. People don't really want to be a part of that. But if they can climb to even 10th, 9th, to look like they're floating that playoff line, and players that are potentially thinking about coming to America, coming to play for Chicago, they're like, I can get them above that line, but they're close enough where I'm not super far down where it actually feels doable. So it really does matter for Utah, for Chicago right now, where they end up at the table at the end of the season, because that enables them to increase their club from a global standpoint.
No, I mean, I second that. And even thinking about Mel Swanson is going to be back next year. That, I mean, imagine if she was on the team right now.
And you know what? If they had finished last, maybe she wasn't going to be back at Chicago and she was going to force a trade. So like, it's small things like that. Like, if you do well and you show that you're a stable club that can be something special next year, you keep your current good players and you get more.
Now, I love that. Well, speaking of another club that's looking much more stable, surprisingly, after letting their best player go, to Lowe's team, of course, the Utah Royals. The Utah Royals shocking everybody since this break, since trading Ali Sentnor over to the Kansas City Current. I just think that they've looked very strong. They're unbeaten in 4 matches, and even their game against Portland. We know Utah loves a long-range shot, but hey, the stats say they take a lot of shots, which I'm here for, 20 shots in that match, and they put up a really good fight. I think this is a team that's shown that they will persevere through just about anything. It seems like they have that gritty fight that I think you need as a base in the NWSL. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to compete against even lesser talented teams. Paige Monahan got the equalizing goal late in the 94th minute. And you could just see this team, similar to Chicago, where they just have the complete buy-in. And I want to know from you guys, what's been, I guess, so surprising to you, Lo, even since you got their best player in the league as part of your team. But like, what's so difficult about facing Utah? What's that intangible aspect that they have?
I think when teams are struggling, you have all these questions and you try and figure out what the main reason why you're not doing well. And, usually a lot of organizations are like, it's the coach. They fire the coach. You come together as a group and you focus on that. You're like, you know what, as players, we're going to get it together. To be fair, the best thing that happened to Utah was maybe trading Ali, because they didn't depend only on her. So they were like, now as a team, like the coach was like, oh, okay, she's not here, we have to solve it. Like, you have amazing players out there. Like, Tanaka's their nose out there. Lacoste is back. Like, when I was out there, I was like, who do I mark? Because everyone here is great. And even if I step to them, they're going to ticky-tacky around me. Like, they're trying to play this style of play where they get into scene with little passes, where they immediately want to get into scene 2. And when you train that and you execute it on the field, I think Portland, when they crushed us in the final 2022, that's what they were so good at. They're like, we're going to ping, ping, ping around you. And you guys have been in rondos. When you feel that touch, it's unstoppable. No matter how hard you press, it doesn't matter. And so Utah's sometimes maybe forcing the passes, but they're working on it, because they're not working maybe to get into playoffs right now. They're building a style and system of play for years to come. And so I respect that they're working on that now, even if they're trying it in games and someone may punish them for it. Doesn't matter. You're buying in. And that's what I think this Utah team finally came together and did.
Yeah. In the case of Utah, removing Sentnor has made space for others to shine. And sometimes a star on your team can be a hindrance, especially if their personal qualities, like her personal qualities, are not leadership and not making others around her better per se. She's a very individual, brilliant player. And Sentnor, she just wasn't ready to shoulder a team yet. She was too young, had a lot of expectation on her. It was a big ask of her and her personality and her qualities to take Utah, by the reins by herself. So, removing her has given other opportunity and responsibility to others around her, and they have freaking taken it. And it is so cool to see them just like rise above and be like, all right, I got to step my game up now. And they really have.
Yeah. Mind you, too, when they were like, I don't know if we can do this with center, we were like, come on, get over here. Come to us, please.
We'll take her.
Yeah, exactly.
No, McCall, I think that's such a good shout. I mean, both of you touched on it, that though between Mal Swanson and Ali Senor, there's probably so much pressure on the game being built on their shoulders of you're the playmaker, you're the linchpin on every single thing that we do. You're the goal scorer. We're relying solely on you. Now that Ali Sentinors with Kansas City Current stacked as can be, Mal Swanson's out with a pregnancy, you're seeing these other players have to step up and shine. And I love that. And I love that for the competition in the league. And McCall, I wanted to ask you, because we've seen, last year it was Kansas City, Washington's, the Current takeoff in the table. And of course, KC, no one's catching you guys. We ain't worried. But now the two bottom teams, the bottom of the barrel teams in the league, are upsetting all of the big dogs. How good do you think that is just for the growth of the league, especially in the midst of all of our superstars going overseas?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, speaking of pressure, I just want to touch on that really quick. I do have my concern that Utah and Chicago do not do well with pressure. And that's why they were struggling early in the season. But now that the pressure is relieved from them because they have nothing to lose, now all of a sudden these players feel free and are balling out. But guess what? Being a professional athlete, it is a lot of pressure. And it is a lot of responsibility. And if you have players on your roster that can't weather pressure very well, or intensity or responsibility, that's a problem too. So this is a growing year emotionally and character-wise for those players on both of those rosters, because you need to know how to perform under pressure. And if you can't, you will never make the playoffs. And if you do, you'll lose in the first round. Like, this is big stuff. Big money, big performances, big names. You've got to get big in your chest and be comfortable with pressure. So that would be my only concern about those two teams. But that's why you see Spirit at the top. That's why you see Kansas City at the top. All those top teams, they're well-renowned pros who have been on big stages with big pressure, and they handle their business week in and week out. And they jumped strong from the start. And that's why they've been solid at the top the whole way around.
Oof. Preach, McCall. I'm loving what you're throwing down today. You have bar after bar.
Thanks.
Always.
Yeah. This is I'm with it. Yeah, come on, puff up your chest. Well, Lo's gonna puff up her chest and tell us about some of her Mount Rushmore players. And McCall and I don't know who they are, so you're gonna get a live reaction for us after this quick break. So stick with us. Welcome back to Attacking Third. LoBonta, McCall Zerboni. I'm Darian Jenkins. All right, we have a special segment. We are going to get Lo's Mount Rushmore of 4 different players. And this is coming on the heels of San Diego Wave retiring Alex Morgan's number 13 jersey with the pink pre-wrap. Have to give her a shout out. I absolutely love what she's done. I know we all do, for the league, for players, for equal pay, for moms, and finally got her official send-off. But Lo, this is the Let Lo Cook segment. I want to hear who you got. And I feel like McCall and I might have some extras we would want to throw in.
Well, I figured you were going to highlight Alex Morgan. Like, she deserves all the flowers, right? So I didn't put her on my Mount Rushmore, but she will be our Statue of Liberty, if we want to put it that way.
I like that.
That man is gorgeous. So she will get that. Shout out to her. Love her. Like, amazing human being on and off the field. And that's why we love her. Like, she was the face, probably still is the face of
100%.
US soccer. So yeah, she deserves all the flowers. But I am going to get to my Mount Rushmore. And I think we're going to keep it US, because speaking of Bay FC, you guys know Cici, Brazilian soccer legend, was at our game. I was like, yo, I know. I wish I would have told him so we could pull up a photo. I don't know how quick you are, but she was at our game, and I was just like, like, I'm not often speechless, but it caught me so off guard. So yeah, There's one. We can do a Brazilian Mount Rushmore too one day.
Yeah, we could do each national team, like
Yes.
pick around Mount Rushmore because they exist.
So yeah, so that get that aside, but we'll keep it US soccer. And I'm gonna do it the way you guys do your team of the weeks, where you highlight a keeper, a defender, midfielder, forward. So I'm gonna do it that way.
Love that.
I'm never in those, so I'm gonna do my own. And you guys can agree or disagree, whatever you want to do. But from the top, I don't know which way you guys actually do it, but I'll go from forward to goalie. I did Mia Hamm, obviously. Like, I think you have the debate of Messi or Ronaldo. Like, Mia Hamm for me is my Messi because she is so small and feisty and a fighter. And I just, obviously, as I was growing up, I looked up to her. And just the tenacity and the fight is just what I relate to as a player. And she's just so small. And I wish I scored as many goals as her, but that is not my job. But she was like number one. Like, people know her. The world knows her. That was my number one. How do we feel about that one?
I would be shook if she wasn't on this list. So yeah. I think that was like a perfect way to jump up. I'm glad you started with forwards. McCall, I feel like, do you have any gripes with Mia Hamm?
No, she was the first women's soccer player to be in the conversation with other men's sports. She really made that land for us because she was that.
Do you guys remember? Do you remember the iconic commercial with her and Michael Jordan?
Yes.
On the court. Yeah, that's what sticks out in my brain of like, you don't realize like how like bitty she is and how big she played on the pitch. So I love that.
It's giving me chills. Anywho, I'll move to the next one. We don't want any tears. My makeup I can't have it run. I need this to be perfect. My next one for a midfielder, and there's so many midfielders in US soccer that are like unreal players, right? And this one was hard for me to narrow it down. But to be fair, I've looked up to her since I was a kid, and she's probably going to hate when she hears this, is Julie Foudy. Julie Foudy, for me, you guys, she first went to Stanford. So when I was younger, I was like, I want to go to Stanford. She's a midfielder. She wore the captain's band. She's in broadcasting now. I'm like, am I little mini Julie Foudy? I wear a 10, not 11, but still, I was like, I always looked up to her. She was always witty in interviews. She was so cool to me, but again, so good on the field, like attacking midfielder as well. So I was like, she has to be on there for me.
Hundo P. Julie is the coolest chick on the planet. Like, how someone could be so rad and down to earth, but so successful. And she's a leader, and all she's stayed with in the game to give back and like mentor all of us in all different ways. I mean, and she had a relationship with Mia that was like that. Like, they would go at each other. They would push each other. Like, they had a mad respect that made each other better. And I think a lot of people don't give her enough credit about how much she pushed Mia and pulled Mia at the right times.
No, I love this shout. I actually remember going to US soccer. It was like just a fun camp, like for a day. I think I was like 7 and Julie Foudy was there, and I got her to sign my Julie Foudy number 11 shirt. And it's really one of the reasons why I picked number 11 to be club, high school, college, professionally, like Julie Foudy. So I love that. Legend. You can't go wrong with any of these. Like, what am I going to argue? Julie Foudy should be in your Mount Rushmore.
Right. Imagine if I was like, midfielder, me.
I wouldn't give any contest to that. Just,
Yeah, I would respect it. Honestly, it'd be pretty sick.
Oh, no, I couldn't. But I love too that you have your number 11 jersey frame behind you right now.
Yeah, literally from Julie Foudy.
Oh, okay. I'm 2 for 2. I must know you guys. And then for defender, and it's funny how you just said like Julie Foudy pushed Mia Hamm. I immediately thought of Becky Sauerbrunn and A-Rod. So Becky Sauerbrunn is my defender on my Mount Rushmore. When I came to FC Kansas City, she was the epitome of a professional and a captain and a leader and just holding the standards not only off the field, but on the field for players. Like if you made a bad pass or hit the wrong foot, she's going to tell you. And that's the type of respect that I want out of a teammate, because some people, you know, they're like, oh, I hate this so much on the field when someone makes a bad pass and they're like, it's okay, get the next one. Like, no, we're paid to do this. This is the top level. Play my foot so I can, you know, like that's what she demanded. And that was the first time I ever kind of experienced that. And it's made me better. And I want my Mount Rushmore to have a fishtail braid as well, because that's iconic from her. And I've always looked up to her. I mean, I've called her my soccer mom too. And I'm just so happy that she is actually a mom now. So yes, Becky's my defender.
Oh, I love that shout. And it makes so much sense of you talking about how, oh, that's the first time someone was like, next one. And they like got on you and held you accountable. Because in case anybody didn't know, Lo is that player. And I absolutely love that, because she holds the standard at training, at games, what the club is like. So that makes complete sense that is what like enamored you about her and why she's in your Mount Rushmore. McCall, any gripes?
No, I would just want to say Christine Sinclair. Like, if we're going to like talk about like obviously retirement of jersey level, like the next two people that I would say is Marta and Christine Sinclair. And Sink is actually getting honored October 4th at Hall of Fame for Portland Thorns this coming next month. So they should just kind of throw her jersey retirement in there at the same time that they induct her in the Hall of Fame is my shout. But yeah.
I think they should as well. Like believe me, she's on my international Mount Rushmore. Like I'll always shout out Sink like that. When I met her in person the first time, I was just like, you're the same. You're the same on the field. You're the same off the
Totally.
field. And I love people are like that. And she's so funny. And I have so much respect for her, because obviously one of the top goals. We can get into that a whole nother.
Yeah, we'll
do a whole nother show.
Yes, they have to like. But when I think of like retiring jerseys, like they have to do hers at the Thorns and they have to do Pino's in Seattle. Like that's all I can think of with those two teams and the rivalry. And when they both announced their new contracts, how they both were like, F the other club and this player. Like those are the people's jerseys you retire.
Yeah. 100%. We need the villains, the feisty people in there that ignite the rivalries.
Yes.
Okay, Lo, who is your goalkeeper? Last but not least.
I put Briana Scurry. I think, she was the first keeper that I even knew of ever growing up. And of color. Like I just thought that was the biggest thing, to step into that, play the sport you love and kind of have people question you, but you're like doubling down and you're like, this is my net. This is my team. I'm going to win the World Cup. I'm going to win the Olympics. I'm going to continue to push boundaries. Like that's something you want in a teammate. And that's the person you want behind you too, because they got your back. So no doubt, hands down, she was going to be in goal for me, on my Mount Rushmore, in goal for me. I wish on my Mount Rushmore.
No, to me, she's a player I looked up to, admired. I remember watching Dare to Dream as a little girl, and I was like, that was the first time I saw myself as a female athlete in soccer. I grew up watching Serena and Venus, track, but never in the sport that I had fallen in love with. So I love that shout. I have zero gripes with your Mount Rushmore. This is yours. It's all of ours. I don't think anyone can actually disagree, right, Call?
Never.
I love this. Well, Lo, we know that you have to get to a photo shoot. You're all glammed out. Guys, we have a bonus segment, though. We are going to dive a little bit more into Bay FC with Sandra Herrera. So make sure you stick around. Wish Lo good luck and let us know what you think about her Mount Rushmore. We will be back after this quick break with Sandra. Welcome back to Attacking Third. We're down 1, but you're going to get a bonus Attacking Third OG member, our girl Sandra Herrera, who I know was riding high after that Chicago win. My girl, how we doing?
Still. Are you kidding me? Stars victory Sunday rolling into a Chicago Bears Monday Night Football. I can't be stopped. I'm a menace, girl.
You're a menace. I love it. We need some positivity for the Chicago Stars, and I absolutely love it. I need to get a kit or something from them. I'm the new biggest fan. But Sandra, brought you in. We're gonna talk about Bay FC and the big mic drop they had earlier today. We were meeting earlier to talk about the shows of the week, and that statement got put out by Bay and Albertin Montoya. And let's go over it really quick. We touched on it a little bit with Lo, but let's go through the statement. Bay FC today announced changes to its sporting organization as it celebrates the club's achievements in its first 2 startup seasons and moves into its next phase. Albertin Montoya, who serves as head coach, has decided to step down at the end of the 2025 season. In addition, Kay Cosington, CEO of Bay Collective, will now lead the sporting efforts of the club, including the selection of the club's next head coach. Albertin said, "I have so much love for these players, staff, and fans. We've built a culture and a style that I believe will compete for championships for years to come. I want to thank everyone for their support. I look forward to finishing this season strong and for this club continuing to accomplish great things." Okay, well, let's get into it. Sandra, we kind of shared our thoughts earlier. I think McCall made some really great points about that leeway now that Bay has, but can you give us some insight into maybe what could have gone into this change at this point in the season?
I think you have to take a look at what you just mentioned, this point of the season. I think you have to look at the timing of this. I think you have to take a look with Bay FC where they're in at this moment. I think we have to take into consideration how they look specifically coming out of that month-long break. This is the second half of the season. This is where the razzle dazzle happens, right? It's the magic. It's the point where all the teams really want to get to. It's truly the moment in the NWSL calendar where we get a little cocky and we start touting all that parity, because this is where it comes to life. I mean, y'all were on the show talking about Utah and Chicago, and they're not out there playing like they're 13 and 14 on the table. And so I think when you take all of those things into consideration, how the timing of this announcement, you take a look at maybe the lack of movement or activity during their summer window as far as players coming in, because they certainly had players going out. There was maybe a controversial or big loss in Shwala heading over to Saudi Arabia. And I think maybe for folks who found themselves really excited to tap into this Bay FC squad, that this was a player that they brought in, I think also alongside Dana Castellanos. These are internationals that they brought in to say, okay, we're going to compete. We're going to make sure we're getting big names. And then those don't pan out for whatever reason, whether the tactics didn't match or the personnel didn't fit formations or whatever we want to call it. And those players are gone now. And so you see players leave even into this midseason, but not so many come in. And then they're maybe struggling with what a long season does. Player injury, managing minutes, things like that. Something's not working. And unfortunately, when you look at all of those things above you, you're not getting the wins or even getting results, despite maybe some of those bright spots that you try to point out. As a sporting side and the sporting business side of things, you have to look at those things. It's something else is going to give here. And I think as far as putting this announcement out now, maybe to McCall's earlier point, perhaps it allows them the opportunity to try to get ahead of what they were essentially, the road they were essentially going down, try to maybe get ahead of that a little bit to say, we're going to build ourselves a little bit of a window of time here. Although I think on the other side of that coin, it lends itself to more questions. It lends itself to saying, well, doesn't this just not bode well for the players that are there right now in that locker room with the playoff push that's supposedly in front of them? And what does that even mean as far as like having a longer window of time to go ahead and get that next candidate? Because if you are Bay FC and this is perceived as a bit of a white flag, which some people probably will perceive it as that means your season is going to end earlier than you even anticipated. And so maybe a 2 to 3 month window to find your next head coach maybe isn't as long as you would have thought. And maybe some folks would think, well, you should have just waited until the end of the season and give your players there a shot at this moment. But it's hard. It's really hard to ignore, I think, what we've seen in front of us from Bay FC. The performances haven't really been there. At least the wins haven't come. The goals certainly have struggled to come for Bay FC. We all know you can't get that ball in the back of the net. You don't get those wins. You don't climb the standings. So I think there's like an A, B, and C category, right? C is probably the all the above. And it just sort of feels like for Bay, it was a collective of all the above.
Well, we don't know what we don't know, right? And I'm looking forward to a presser about it. I want to hear Albertin Montoya go into lengthy depth or at least answer questions, right? Whether he wants to or not, it'll probably happen after this weekend's games coming up. But again, we don't know. Maybe the players wanted him gone. And so now it's going to give them peace of mind that the club had their back and did the right thing and said, hey, listen, we don't want to just put like a janky interim in there for you, but we hear you. We'll let him go and we'll work on getting another coach. It also could be an advertisement to the rest of the world. Once they put that out there, then other coaches around the world are like, hey, I want that job, or I'm going to go apply for that job, right? So it's just an announcement in every way that could bring more benefit than downfall, because the downfall is it's tricky for a player to know that your coach is leaving and is not going to be your coach the next season. So it's like, how much do you really desire to perform for them? Because they're not going to be there in the end anyway. And then, it just creates like a funky culture a little bit. So I'm believing that Bay, especially with the ownership group that they have, wonderful players of the game like Brandy Chastain, Leslie Osborne, Danielle Slayton, Allie Wagner. Those chicks know what they're doing, and they were once big ballers. So they know how important a culture is, an environment is of a club, and the right thing to do. They wouldn't let anything happen that would be detrimental to the club as a whole. But, there's reasonings behind this announcement right now that will have yet to follow.
Well, I also,
I'm like,
yeah,
really?
It's interesting to me because in their Bay's statement, they say Albertin Montoya, who serves as head coach, has decided to step down at the end of the 2025 season. Was this more just on Albertin? Maybe, we've all been very critical of Bay. Sandra, you said it. You ain't scoring goals. Asisat Oshwala, the leading goal scorer for the Nigerian women's national team, couldn't.
I wonder if she's like, wait, I'll come back now.
And couldn't score goals even when she got a ton of minutes and starts with the opportunity to, but then they're also leaking goals. And I just wonder if maybe he even had the wherewithal to tell them, I want to step down at the end of the season. This isn't working out. And they were like, we're going to announce it now. And McCall, as you said, let's give her runway. Come on, coaches. Come give us your resumes. We got time. We can bring in players that you want, as opposed to what we usually see with the NWSL, where it's, Sandra, sorry for the Chicago slander, but like, I'm so glad they're turning around. But boom, bop, bam with coaches, and these poor players are struggling the entire time.
3, column 3. That's tough to go through, I think, on the player side of things for sure. Like how are those locker rooms that, with players who have found themselves needing to navigate a season with multiple leading coaches, we'll just say, from full-time head coach to temporary interim to next step interim and whatever else in between. And I think that's also what's kind of difficult whenever like announcements like this come from, which is why for me it's giving a little bit of a like, we're trying to get ahead of some things here, because in this era of NWSL, this sort of second decade that we're all kind of navigating, there's always those layers of like, well, have club teams has the league earned that kind of sort of benefit of the doubt, right? We can't forget that Bay unfortunately started their season with headlines around an investigation for this team. Albertin Montoya, per this third-party investigation, was ultimately cleared of those wrongdoings, but it's let's not act like it's not a stain, and that's not something that NWSL faithful are not also reacting to with this statement as well. And again, it leads itself to everything else with NWSL's past that it's trying to move forward from. Like, have clubs and the league sort of earn that benefit of the doubt. Like the way that we're speaking about this, in the sense where we're also just kind of like, well, maybe, hopefully we'll find out more, and maybe we won't. And there's also all of that where you're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that it will, lead to better things for the players who are in that locker room right now, for players that they maybe want to potentially recruit in the future. But it's wild to imagine kind of this impression of potentially waving a white flag ultimately in such a crucial part of the season. I'm as a reporter who's like covered this league for years now. I'm on a pod right now with 2 former players, and if I were to ask the 2 of you to give me your feelings and examples about having to go through something similar, the fact is the 2 you could probably drop names and moments in which you've had to navigate something similar. We're not completely far removed from things like that, you know, and I think that's kind of what comes with that sort of instant knee-jerk reaction when some of these statements are dropped.
Yeah, I think it's scary because, especially, you know, Sandra, you said you're so familiar with this league, you've covered it for so long, you immediately kind of go to the worst just because of the history of this league. And I mean, McCall, us as former players too, but I think we're seeing something new with this announcement midseason, knowing he's gonna, or not midseason, and this point in the season, knowing he's gonna stick around. You know, Sandra, we're gonna rely on you to give us the scoop and the deets, and I know everybody else is too. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Such a fun show with her Mount Rushmore, diving into Chicago and Utah Royals. Let us know your thoughts on it. Let us know who we may miss. Let us know which national team, or actually which country, we should have a Mount Rushmore for next, because I love that idea. And don't forget, Attacking Third will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. with your girl, Sandra Herrera, Lisa Carlin, who crushed it on the call with Orlando and Chicago, and our girl, Jess McDonald. I love it. Love that lineup. You don't want to miss it. From McCall, LoBonta, Sandra, producer Mark, producer Audrey, I'm Darian. This was Attacking Third.